Hello again. I am taking a break from Mad Max, and I've been playing a little game called Master of Orion. I've been a fan of Master of Orion for some time, especially Master of Orion 2. Master of Orion 2 was probably my favorite 4X space game of all time, and I had hoped that this new Master of Orion would be more like, Master of Orion 2. I mean, it's enough. It's sort of a cross between Master of Orion 1 and Master of Orion 2. It's not a bad game. It's not everything I hoped for, but it's not a bad game. The thing about Master of Orion is that it is moddable. Now, I've been dicking around with this for several days, and I've found that modding Master of Orion, the new version, is a bit tricky. It's really, really, really fucking finicky. Alright? Now, normally, when you're modding Master of Orion, you have different, hang on, let me go to the scrap. You have different things, like, when you first start out, let's just start this way. When you first start out, there is something called the modding file. Now you go to if you have Steam, which I have, you go to Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Master of Orion, and Modding. Now you don't touch these files. What you do is you copy them. Copy all of these files, or the files that you're going to work on, to another folder. So that way you'll always, like, if you fuck up, you'll always have these files. And this is pretty much all the stuff that you can dick around with and mod in the game. A lot of stuff you'll be doing with tech apps, tech tree. You'll be Delilah no, and you'll be doing stuff with globals and with racial perks. And that's what I'm working on modding right now, is racial perks. Now, the racial perks thing, when you open it up, my mistake, and I use Notepad++ because it can read YAML files. My mistake was that I tried modding the whole thing in line, and when I would get logic errors from like a typo, or if something wouldn't work with something else, if something wouldn't play nice, I wasn't able to figure out what the fuck was going on. What was wrong, what was not playing nice, and I had to reinstall the game several times because of the fuck-ups that I made. And I noticed that it acts a lot like a fucking database. It's Unity, but the way that they call their shit is, it reminded me of SQL. So in order to figure out which parts were not playing nice, I took all of the stuff in the racial tree, and you'll see. I'll show you. I took a lot of the stuff. I didn't take all of it. I'm probably going to wind up taking all of it. But stuff like, we'll say this, the perk for research government, and that's actually part of another perk. And that's the whole section. I would take that section, and I would turn it into its own YAML file. Okay? And so what I would get after I would turn it into its own YAML file is stuff like this. And in these files, I had only the sections of the stuff that I wanted to mod. So instead of having the whole globals file, I would create a line like this. I would call, the whole thing, create the header that calls it, and then I'd put in my little mods that I wanted, or the lines that I was going to work on, and then end it. and it just like injects that little piece into the game. And that way, I can keep adding all of these different modules to find out what works well with everything else and where my bugs are. If I add a module and it's a problem, like the mod I made for auto repair, there it is, I can go back and I can try and figure out what I did. Did I space it wrong? Do I have the wrong format? You know, where did I fuck up? And that's the way to go. And then, of course, once you launch Master of Orion, you can see your mods in action. I'll show you. And then you know what plays nice. Eventually you're going to recombine it into a larger file, because I don't think that Unity likes everything all broken up. But it gives you a good idea, you know, of how to go about doing it. So here's one of the mods, or a couple of the modules that I made for this, because I'm trying to make it more like Master of Orion 2. And the great thing is, you can. I mean, this game got a bad rap.
From the cloudy planet Altair,
it got a bad rap.
Alkari are an old...
Yeah. The only thing I don't like is the fact that they don't have the Terran as a purchasing thing. When I bought this, I assumed, you know, that I'd eventually be able to get the Terran. And I guess you have to buy the super special, you know, collector's edition with all the garbage that you don't want just to get that Terran. So that kind of pisses me off. And then you get weird little bugs like this, you know, where the code, there's nothing wrong with it, but for some reason it displays a plus minus 25. You know, the game, I don't know, man. The game is really, really, really touchy for what you want to do with it. Like, see, these, I have my population growth module, food from population growth module. That's probably going to wind up going in my little problem module. I'm going to have to figure out what I did wrong. Maybe there's a space somewhere that I didn't count on, or, you know. And then, of course, the production. And then I'm going to go through and eventually redo all of the stuff so that we have a nice, you know, we have a nice type of balance. The 25 is only temporary. That's for testing. I haven't. Once I get the mods, all of the stuff actually working, then I'm going to test it for balance. Because this is going to be mainly for me and my wife, and you know, it's going to mainly be for me and my wife and my friends to play. But I mean, it's not a bad game, Master of Orion on its own. I mean, it's a little light, but it's pretty. I like it. You know, it feels like more like Master of Orion 1, which is fine. You know, the star lanes and all the stuff. That's fine. I mean, of course, Master of Orion 1, you used to be able to cut across without, you know, having to go to the star lanes. You could actually decide to jump out into space, and it would just take you longer, but they don't have that option in this one. You kind of have to. The only time you go out of the space lanes is if there's an anomaly and you send a scout ship to check it out. But all in all, I mean, it's not a bad game. It's actually, you know, pretty fun. I've had a lot of fun with it. And modding it has been a frustration. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Modding it has been absolutely fucking frustrating. So, you know, I've had to make all this stuff, and then once I get into this and I figure out all this stuff, and then I rewrite the racials thing and patch this stuff in, then I get to do all the other garbage, you know, where I start modifying ships and doing all the other stuff and making it more like you know, the game I would like. But the cool thing is you can actually do that. They make modding Well, they make it as simple probably as they can make it. I mean, it is Unity, which is it's a nice engine. But people are still learning it and learning how to code in it and learning how to set stuff up. And it's temperamental. It's got its little quirks. You know. But you can work around it if you're patient. I mean, if you're patient, in a couple of months, or a month or two, I'll have this turned into the game that I've always wanted to play. You know, I'll have it turned into everything I wanted. So I just have to learn its quirks and work around them. That's not a problem, and you can do that. You can do that. You just create little mods. That way you create little snippets of code, so you can see what works and what doesn't, what plays nice with what. You can take each of these little mini modules in and swap them out, swap them in and out, find out how many of these mini modules that the engine can deal with at once, and then you do that, and then you can test it that way and swap stuff in and out to see what plays nice and what doesn't play nice. And then when you're all done, you rewrite the racials YAML file, and you're done with that. And then you go on to the next stuff, like for the colonies and for all the other stuff, and you basically work that way. And if you work that way, the game itself will be easier to mod. So I just figured I would talk to you guys about that, about modding Master of Orion, while I'm sort of kind of taking a break and taking a break from Mad Max, because I've been Mad Maxed out and I need to rest. So that's how that works, and I hope that you guys sort of got this whole thing, and I hope this will help you if you decide to mod Master of Orion. So thank you for watching, and I hope that this will help a lot of you, and I will see you on the next Mad Max playthrough.